Morning, everybody. This is my live event on Leadership Weekly, and this is episode 11, and it's about resetting a reactive team. And every team, by the way, experiences moments when emotions escalate. And that's what I call the Acorn Brain. And it's based on one of my books. I've got a number on the subject, but this one in particular, your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend. And why your brain is not always a friend. And simple strategies, especially as a leader, if you're leading a team, to change that because it's important. The Acorn Brain that I developed here, the my trademark, is based on the idea that we have this little thinker. And thankfully, when I ask audiences, when I give keynote addresses or talks about it and trainings, mostly everybody admits it and raises their hand when I say, how many people by a show of hands have a little voice inside their head that's insidious, talking to them constantly? And by the way, most of those thoughts are not facts, especially if we're reacting. If you're reacting, the brain is running you instead of you running the brain. And how can you tell? So the brain's running you if you have a story of a story of woe is me. You want to hear what my boss did the other day? You want to hear what they're doing at the company? It's wasted energy. And actually, because your attention is focused on complaining, you only get more to complain about. Whatever gets fed in a universe grows, or a simulation. Some people don't believe we live, in a universe. So it doesn't matter what you're focused on. If you've got a story in your head, is going to continue to happen. And when you're noticing a reactive team, you have to reset it. And it could be in meetings, but it could also be that you hear about conflict as a leader, because somebody invariably will tell you. Often it's a complaint. Hey, did you hear about what Joe's team did the other day? So there, how do you reset that? You say, did you talk to Joe? And how does it involve you? Because if it's just a complaint, you need to call it out. Let's go see Joe together. Oh, that scares people. Oh, no, that's okay. No, you brought it up, so let's go. That is how you reset those kinds of reactions. Now, in a team meeting, if you're noticing people who are reacting and the meeting seems to be escalating into conflict, you can tell, because how many times have you gone into a room and then told people, boy, I could cut the tension in there with a knife? We feel it. So pay attention to what you're feeling. And people need to know about what I call the power loop. You pause, you observe and examine the pattern and its triggers. You talk about next, what's true? Explore, considering different ways of being, and then respond differently. You choose the next action instead of a reaction. You think about it, but to ground people, and that's up to the leader of the meeting, right? And you might not be the CEO at the meeting. If you are, of course, the responsibility would be for you to call it out. Hey, it's getting a little heated. Let's take a break. And you have everyone get up and walk around. That's a pattern interrupt. Go get a cup of coffee. Go get a tea. Go get a water. Go get a snack. Come back in 5. Hey, let's reset and come back in 5. Okay. When you get back in 5, you actually have a discussion. Okay, everybody settled. Let's talk about first why we got so heated there. Why were things getting heated? Let's talk about what are other ways that we can have a blame-proof discussion about the issue or about the challenge, or ways to embrace everyone's ideas. Remind people that at least 10% of what anybody has for a suggestion or a thought might be correct. It's probably more, but at least 10%. Train your brain not to react in every situation. And see, most people believe their brain. They believe their thinking. And thankfully, this is becoming taught in wider circles. not to believe the brain. There's many, many books on it now, and there's actual neuroscience research. Shirzad Shamin wrote Positive Intelligence, and he developed the PQ coaching program, which I became certified for. I'm satisfied with it too. And the program trains you to notice the mind and the different. Shirzad's work with Stanford revealed different subsets of what he calls the saboteurs. 9. And the master voice is the judge. Now, I call it the Acorn Brain. He took it to another level. And those saboteurs, the fascinating thing is they're all positive until they go negative. And it's catching it and learning to catch it, because the brain notices you're noticing, that you're pausing instead of reacting. And eventually that becomes your default pattern. Like anything else you've learned, it takes a little while. And it's going to be uncomfortable initially not believing your brain. It's not always a friend. So to prove that to yourself, how about you tomorrow say and do everything the brain suggests? Try it. I do that for people that tell me that, well, I don't know about catching my acorn brain. It's who I am. I tell people it's who I am. Get over it. No, it's who you choose to be. So when I tell people, well, for tomorrow, why don't you do and say everything the acorn brain suggests, that your brain suggests? And I would say 99% of people stop and think for a moment and then eventually respond with, Steve, no, I couldn't do that. How come? Because a lot of those thoughts are crazy. Okay, what percent? 20%, 30%? When I get the percent, then I say, listen, how about this suggestion? Could you do another cut? Meaning you ignore, of course, the 20 or 30% because you've defined them as crazy. Go down deeper to the next 20 or 30%. Could you just put a pause in and start noticing those? Because you know the ones you're not going to do for sure. You don't follow those instructions, except in traffic, maybe. And you start to question the next level down because of people believing they're thinking. They're living as a reaction and a victim of circumstance instead of a master of circumstance. And when you start training the brain, like I said earlier, it will be uncomfortable. But when you learned to drive, was it uncomfortable? When you learned to ride a bike, was it uncomfortable? When you learned to ski? When you first played a sport? How were you in basketball or lacrosse or field hockey or skating? Anything you learned new. Eventually you got better at it and the subconscious took over and you could continue to build it and improve those skills. It's the same with noticing your thinking and not reacting. Over time, it'll become more natural. The subconscious will remember your new pattern and you can build on the skill. Wow, with your thinking. Amazing. So there's Dr. Daniel Amen doing work. Look him up. Dr. James Doty wrote Mind Magic. Marshall Goldsmith talks about triggers. Red Hawk talks about self-observation. There's a lot of research. When I referred to Shirzad Shamin in Stanford, they did fMRIs on people's brains, which are facilitated MRIs. And with mostly negative thinkers, as they started to work with them, first of all, they noticed where the negative thoughts light up on the right side of the prefrontal cortex. As they trained them to pause and catch the brain and program something new, they noticed new neural pathways opening on the left side of the brain, like a stroke victim. Neuroplasticity. You can reprogram your mind and not be a reaction, or live as a victim and live as a reaction. And as you start doing that, you're reprogramming the mind. It will become more automatic. Dr. James Doty, in his book Mind Magic, says think of the subconscious this way: as a file system and a bloodhound. And whatever you put in the file system, the bloodhound will go searching for evidence of, despite evidence to the contrary. It ignores any evidence to the contrary. So you're gathering evidence when you have a complaint to prove it's true and that you're right instead of questioning it. Neuroscientists say up until the age of 35, if you never question your thinking, the brain will continue to operate in all that same fashion, because now the subconscious takes over. And with certain people that you used to get angry with, it recognizes the same traits in other people. And the subconscious says, you give this person a piece of your mind. Oh, you get angry here. You get frustrated in this situation. You get sad. You get depressed. You can reprogram the mind, but most people don't realize that it's the same as learning any other skill, and the brain can be reprogrammed. And see, our hubris and our ego get in the way of reprogramming the mind, because as I said, most people believe they're thinking. And if you're living as a reaction, especially as a leader, if you're reacting and lashing out at people, that's what you're teaching your team. But it's something you've programmed the mind with. You've programmed it. The driver, the subconscious backseat driver took over. Wow. I'm not letting that backseat driver run my life. Now, does it from time to time? Yes. I tell my clients, if I ever say I found the way, run away. Run away. It's a journey. And the more we train the brain, the better it becomes, because the brain remembers that you don't react. You'll notice that you're pausing. You'll notice that you're stopping to respond, and that people that previously bothered you don't bother you anymore. And there's another way to retrain the mind, is to put a pause in and say, why does this bother me so much? Why does this person bother me? Wayne Dyer used to say that when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. When we get squeezed, we get what we need to work on. Fascinating. That's the mirror principle. What you see in others that bothers you is something you have in yourself that you have yet to embrace and learn about and reprogram. Events and people. The brain remembers. And the brain has an advantage over us because it remembers every person you've gotten angry at, every situation you react to, every embarrassing and humiliating moment, every moment, error of judgment. The brain remembers you, all of those things, and reminds us of it. And here's the thing. If you listen to that, you're letting the brain run you. You have to catch it and say, thank you for sharing, Mr. Brain. And I suggest you name it. I call my voice in my head the little fucker. Dr. Daniel Amen named his brain Little Hermie, after a rambunctious pet raccoon, a troublesome raccoon, he called it. He had a pet raccoon he had as a teenager. Gurdjieff, George Ivanovich Gurdjieff, called it the machine, his voice. Rainer Maria Rilke called it the little hooligan, and that was in the 1800s. And the question is, will you let that little hooligan or the machine run you, or will you run it? And in a meeting, when you're resetting a reactive team, you're modeling the behavior you want to see in others, so that when you catch it and you, as a leader, okay, time to take a break. We're getting a little reactive here. Some of our acorn brains are taking over. I mean, you don't have to go into that, but if I come in and do a talk, you could afterwards, you could reinforce it. Let's take a break, get a snack, come back at 5. You come back at 5 and say, okay, let's talk about why we were getting so reactive. Why was the discussion getting heated? What was bothering us? And let's just discuss it. And let's start to notice those places where we're getting reactive and take a breath. Put in a pause. Give everybody my book Your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend, right? And there's the Acorn Brain. That's my trademark. And give people here the power, catching the power habit loop, right? That you have to take a break. And you want to pause, observe, ask what's true, explore, and respond differently. Choose a new response. And that's reprogramming the mind. And as a leader, you're responsible, whether it's a team leader, a division leader, a group leader, a meeting leader, the CEO, any of the officers of the company, board meetings too. Someone needs to run those and make sure you stay in the responsive mode, the smart, intelligent mode that's not reactive, the one that runs the mind, not the mind running them. And when people attack, they are in a previously trained mode. They don't even realize it. That means they've attacked before and before and before and before, and now the brain remembers it like driving. You attack. That's reactive. It's not powerful. It's powerless. It's called low frequency primal emotions and thinking. Low frequency. Is that what you want to be run by? And there's research by neuroscientists that people who spend more time in that low frequency primal thinking and emotions, that's anger, frustration, stress, sadness, not worthy, lashing out at others, making others wrong, they actually have a lower return on investment. They have a lower frequency life, meaning if you're saying you have a lot of drama in your family, that's the frequency they're operating on. And so what happens is you just get more of that because whatever gets fed in the universe grows. Whatever you place your attention on grows. And if you're going to be a master of circumstance, you purposely start every day with, I'm going to be in my powerful mode. And maybe even think about how I'd like the day to play out. But you think about yourself being peaceful, grateful, in a creative mode, problem-solving mode, and noticing mode where you call people out. Okay, I see you're a little upset. Let's talk about it. That's a powerful mode. And you'll find that you have a lot less drama. And if you notice a lot of low frequency situations in people, you won't spend a lot of time with them. You'll have a higher return on investment for placing your attention on powerful, high frequency thinking. And you got to prove that to yourself. You got to prove it to yourself. So the Acorn Brain reacts quickly under pressure, and every team experiences moments when emotions escalate and meetings shift into blame or defensiveness. A leader who pauses and reframes the moment can reset the conversation, right? Take the break, then come back and discuss it as adults, calmly, with a reprogrammed mind. And even discuss that. Hey, we've got to talk about reprogramming some of the thoughts we're having and some of the reactions that it's leading to. Whether you call it the Acorn Brain or not, and you all could have your own name for it to make it fun in meetings. Like I said, I can come in and talk about it and set it up so that you continue to do it. What signals tell you a team is becoming reactive? Well, you can see it in body language and facial expressions and eye rolls and sighs and then, of course, the conversation and the words being used. A lot of leaders, when a meeting is escalating into tension, you'll hear the word you. Well, why did you do that? Wait. Let's take the you out of this. Let's discuss that. Let's just talk about the situation, the idea. Take it away from the personal. But you'll know it. You'll feel it as well. Pay attention to what you're feeling when you're running a meeting. Don't ignore it. Call out the tension. Next week, episode 12 will be training the mind that leads your team. So we'll spend more time on some of the tidbits and clues that I gave you about reprogramming the mind, especially as a leader, and to teach it in your company. I think it's a great program. I've got companies that use it. Training the mind that leads your team. All right. So my name is Steve Lentini. You could email me if you'd like, steve@stevelentini.com. You just put a steve@stevelentini.com and email me. This is a book available on Amazon. I got a lot of books on Amazon, but Your Brain is Brilliant. It's not always your friend is the one we're talking about in this leadership session. And so the episode 12 is the final episode on this series, and then episode 13 in 2 weeks will be a recap and a review and a discussion of things that can benefit, and then we'll start a new series every Friday, 10 o'clock. The next series will be about reprogramming the mind, 13 weeks in segments of reprogramming the mind so that you have more time putting your attention on powerful thinking, which yield powerful emotions. We'll talk about that. All right, everybody, thank you. I'm grateful. Again, you can email me, steve@stevelentini.com. You just saw my cat's tail in the screen. She's been a guest here too. Thank you all.